All right. Welcome back to another episode of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Substitute teacher Ronald Two Legs in the building once again this week. 2 for 2 here with AIW owner John Thorne, as always. What's up, Thorne?
What's up in the house?
We want to thank the sponsors of AIW The Card is Going to Change. We got Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, of course.
We may have a new sponsor, like a real big sponsor coming on board, but negotiations ongoing for at least a few shows.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, talking to a beer company.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, so,
interesting. A little cliffhanger there.
it's getting, we'll see if when the check arrives before I give an official plug scheme.
Right, sure. Yeah, you got to make sure that sucker cashes first.
Right.
Just tossing around free shit around here. But yeah, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, as always, a great sponsor of ours. IWTV, Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium. Make sure you put in the code. What is the code? AIW?
It's Absolute.
Absolute. Add the code Absolute and let them know who sent you over that way. So much shit on there. I always boast about IWTV, but I was just watching it again at the camper, and somebody's like, "What the hell are you watching?" And I was like, "Independent wrestling." They're like, "How?" And I was like, "It's basically this website that's like Netflix for independent wrestling. It's pretty sweet." And he was like, "No shit." Like every time I tell somebody about it, their mind is kind of blown. They're like, "Really? No shit." I'm like, "Yeah."
Was it you that was telling me like, oh my, your uncle or something thought that they had the idea for it?
Yes. Yeah. Like he, like people, multiple people can have ideas. They're all out there. But if you don't know that something exists already and you have an idea for something, you're like, man, that's a great idea. And then you find out it exists. You're like, damn. But yeah, he was like, listen, get this idea. I was like, tell me about it. And it existed. Who else? What else we got here? What other sponsors? Who am I missing? Do we have any other official sponsors? TSJ, does he still sponsor? Is he still cutting a check?
I haven't got a check from him in a while. No,
piece of shit.
Not a lot of shout out to Marks with Mikes though. They dropped some sponsorship dollars.
Oh hell yeah! I
for
love
the
those
last
guys.
show.
I was hanging with those. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, check out their podcast and give them a listen. They it's the thing that's kind of interesting is through like I guess pandemic wrestling, like all these independent wrestling promotions were just like really just like hustling the sponsorships,
Mm-hmm.
And the Marks with Mikes reached out. And they were kind of on the whatever they sponsor, you know what I mean? It was like
sure.
Some like I don't want to say it's a low amount of money, but it was just like I feel that maybe there's a little difference in AIW as opposed to some of the other places that were hustling the cash like that. So they made an offer, and I think they thought they were going to get the whole shebang. You know what I mean? The whole fucking media junket.
The price tags are a little different for different promotions. They found out, huh?
Yeah, I said, well, it's not like a blanket thing, like. Not to say that I didn't appreciate it, but
sure,
I do know that we have a little value, so I don't want to be giving it away for free.
That's true.
Especially when you're negotiating with a major beer company.
I can't wait to find out who this is. You have to text me this so I know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's major. Maybe it's major. I don't know. I mean, I only know fucking like Bud Light, so what do I know?
So yeah, well, you were gonna recap AIW's most recent show, AIW's Gangsta Rap Made Me Do It. How do you feel overall that it went over? What were your thoughts on the show overall, I guess?
I was a little nervous as, we talked last week because tickets were moving a little slower than usual. And it picked up, this is my fear is like, Cleveland is anybody that's been involved in the Cleveland entertainment realm knows that like Cleveland has this reputation of being quote unquote a walk-up city, a walk-up town, for everything, for fucking baseball games, for fucking concerts and shows, like everything is like walk up, that's just like the Cleveland way.
Yep.
And like through the pandemic, we established like getting your AIW tickets, so it was like, okay, we always kind of knew what we were walking into, especially when we were doing those limited capacities.
Yeah, I was gonna say that had to be a big part of it when we were only taking so many, seats. The seats and where you got was very priority. So I mean, you definitely had to get in early, and people weren't risking it because there was only so many events, so many things to do. So you didn't want to be, nobody's being shut out. So everyone was buying those tickets immediately.
Right. So it was a little worrisome, just that we're starting to kind of get back into that a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, and usually those like premium, what we call the premium tickets, which is, any of the labeled
Stage
rows. Yeah. Like usually that shit goes quick, and, it didn't, and and I think a reason that, not to steal Steve Guy's segment, but shout out to Justin Doan. Justin Doan, his wedding date happened to fall on Friday, which a lot of AIW regulars were in the wedding party or invited to the wedding. So that had a little bit to do with it as well.
There was a Justin Doan chant at some point during the show, and I was like, man, I haven't seen him. And he films shows now, so I was like, was he filming? Like, I was looking over there, but I didn't see him at all. Maybe they were just doing that for the IWTV so they could hear it at the wedding or something.
Yeah, so yeah, it was his wedding, and a lot of people were there, like even Caden, shout out to Caden. I guess, he came down with COVID, but he was going to be at Justin Doan's wedding as well. So a lot of the like hardcore regulars were involved in that wedding. I was even invited, I was invited, and I was like, hey dude, I can't make it. There's a show that day. Yeah. And he was like, he was super bummed. Cause when he's not filming or whatever, he likes to, make sure he doesn't miss an AIW show.
Right.
So
he's been coming for a long time. I mean, you see pictures of Doan from way a long time ago.
Yeah, way back. So that had a little bit to do with it, like because those like hardcore fans, what I label them as or whatever, like they buy those tickets up. So like when you like kind of remove them from the equation, there's I almost think that it creates this like people don't think they can get the premium tickets, so they don't even try to get the premium tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a mentality of like, well, they're already going to be gone already, so it's like, well, why are we trying? Because front row's already, it sells out so quick. If you're not paying attention, then maybe they didn't even know they were available, right?
Right. So like there were still some available like Friday morning, like some stage seats and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, but like GA was picking up a little bit, and some of the guys were really pushing tickets hard. Bishop and Wes Barkley, Eric Taylor. They like, members only. They all really tried to give a big push on Friday. And I don't know if people saw the clip. Like Eric Taylor had his like 89-year-old grandpa in the crowd, like swinging chairs and shit.
I saw when it happened, and we were in the back at the monitor. It was actually me and Joey and somebody else. A couple of people were standing there, and like I didn't realize it was his grandpa, obviously from sitting in the back, but like he whipped him into the chair, but an old man was holding the chair, so he went right through it and just slammed into someone behind him in the crowd. It looked so bad from the monitor. We were all like, oh, holy shit. But yeah, it was his grandpa, huh? That's funny.
Yeah, so that was like he had like a big, kind of family, I guess coming out, which is, what I mean?
Stronger person to hold that chair next time, Eric.
But, like I know he's a, quote unquote healer or whatever, but like, that moment for him was probably unreal. You know what I mean? Like, because like, I don't know how supportive his family is or isn't of the wrestling thing. You know what I mean? But like, they all, they've come out before, but like they came out in like a gigantic force on Friday night, and like, the grandfather to come out and see it, and wasn't like mom and dad. You know what I mean? It was like the extended family was out there. Like
the Taylor family represented well, huh?
Right. And, like for him to have that clip, I mean, his grandfather's like 89 or something like that. So, so
yeah,
you would think, and not to sound morbid, he doesn't, have that much time left to make memories like that.
I was just going to say, that's a pretty special memory. It's caught on film. It was on IWTV. He could literally watch it the next day. All these angles, he could show him all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. And his family filmed it and stuff like that. So I think it was like a cool little moment for them. So, just shout out to all the crew that pushed hard to try to pack the Odeon on Friday night, because I was getting a little nervous. As I said before, Matt Cardona, he brings out the universe.
Yeah.
And I know that like some people were like not clear if he was going to be there or not, but he certainly wasn't going to be there. You know what I mean? Coming off the injury.
He's injured, but I couldn't even imagine. I know he's not cheap as it is. So his price tag to come out and do nothing. I can't imagine that's,
Yeah, we're talking. He'll be at Absolution. We've worked the deal out, so he's coming to Absolution no matter what on July 23rd. In fact, I was just texting with him about flights and stuff right before we started recording. So, that's a done deal. But he would have came on Friday, but he just had the surgery like a week ago or a week and a half ago or something like that. And like, I know he's appeared at other shows, but I don't know, like it just seems like a lot to put on him to just come out and
flying like that after having that surgery, like sitting in the chair. I wouldn't want to, I don't know.
Yeah. So, we talked, and he's going to come, at the very least to Absolution. So, that's kind of a little, done deal there, but when he's on the show, he goes above and beyond promoting every show he's on. So
in a way too, where it's not this weird robotic, just dumbass post like, come see me at this, or
he like engages.
Yeah, he always comes up with something to just kind of like, it's like a post about the show, but yeah, it's not, I don't know, like he sometimes he picks on fans and stuff too, and he brings other people into it, you know what I mean? Like he's very good. I like Mr. Cardona. He's nice.
Yeah, so
on my show, I like him.
Yeah, so he's like, so I was a little worried about that, you know what I mean? Because
he does draw too, like a fucking motherfucker.
Right. And like, it's just, there's a lot of things to worry about, and like, I just wanted to get through Friday. I thought that we had a pretty cool little surprises set up, you know what I mean? And
yeah, I
just wanted to get through it, and now we can kind of flesh out the Absolution plan, you know what I mean, and iron all that out. And of course we got to put together that July 7th Winchester show as well, AIW 3D. But yeah, it's just I was really worried about Friday. I just wanted to get through Friday. This has been a long-winded way to say I was pretty happy with how everything turned out for the most part.
Yeah, because it did get pretty crowded, right? Yeah,
it definitely filled in. It definitely filled in. It was, nothing to be embarrassed about. It was probably like, between 300 and 350, I think, right around that. So a lot of walk up, and it may have even been a little bit more than that, honestly.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the guesstimate, based off the Eventbrite numbers, and then, the numbers that Pedro gives me the next day. But it's I was happy with it. I thought the show went really well.
I thought it was definitely crowded, especially towards the end. By the time the main event went off, it was very crowded. The crowd was hot. All of the matches and the points that were things that were supposed to go off, I thought all went off great. I was going to say too about Eric, and I feel like that was a pretty big match for him too. It was like a singles match. It wasn't a tag, so it was a chance for his family to come out and see. Like, just, when you're in a tag, it's probably a little hard. You got another guy with you, but it's a singles match, especially if you're in a tag and then you do a singles. You're like, you got to come to this show. So I felt like it was a really big crowd. They were loud and everything, at least from where I was. I'm sure you saw the video that I posted, the last surprise when Joey came out. I felt like the fucking building was red hot for that.
Oh man, that was like, so I guess we'll dive into that a little bit. So like I purposely, so I'll say this, like Shane Douglas was always booked, right?
Yeah,
he was going to come. That how that all went down was always booked, but
the meet and greet thing became like, because I think maybe people saw, oh, he's the meet and greet now, so Shane would have been a surprise. No one would even have known he was really there. That kind of the meet and greet almost took away, like, oh, now he's here, because he was only booked for Toy, Ohio.
Right. And, he was like in this deal with, I deal with the promoter who is also like Shane's like agent. He runs ACW in West Virginia. He books a lot of the AIW guys and stuff like that. And,
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that was kind of, he was trying to bring Kevin Sullivan in for his show. And then, at one point it was going to be Kevin Sullivan wrestling, but then, things changed. We weren't sure if you'd be down for it and all this other stuff. And then, I asked him if Shane was available, and I said, well, how about we have Kevin Sullivan do a meet and greet, and then Shane can be like a surprise, and wrestle, and then do a meet and greet. And, they were supposed to do his show the night before. Kevin Sullivan's flight got canceled, and it got rebooked, and it wouldn't even have gotten Kevin Sullivan to Cleveland until like 10 p.m. on Friday night or something. Jeez. So like, and that was like the rebooked flight from Thursday.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, it all fell apart. So I just said, what, I'll just have Shane do the meet and greet. You know what I mean? And we'll kind of blow that surprise a little bit. And that's kind of why, Shane ended up wrestling in like just street clothes, because he felt like for the story or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, why would he be geared up and all this, which made sense, like honestly. But initially it was going to be Shane, making the save on Wes, like full geared up, full on tag match, all that stuff. But the Toy Hio thing, I purposely released to be like a red herring. You know what I mean? So like people thought that like maybe it's Shane Douglas is the surprise. Oh, big deal. It's Shane Douglas again as a surprise,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like throwing different things out there. And so, like Thrift Store Jobber like swears that he knew it was Joey or something based on something, I don't know, but I don't. If he knew, I don't think. I thought it was Thrift Store Jobber that said it.
Ed said that Joey had tweeted earlier in the day his whole schedule for the next like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and there was no date for tonight's date. And he was like, "Oh," or it was the day before or 2 days yesterday or something like that. Or not yesterday. Obviously, we're recording this.
It was just like the GCW dates. He had the Saturday and Sunday on his schedule.
Yeah, right. But I'm like, I think you're overthinking this, bud.
Well, because a lot of guys don't even work on Friday night. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a ton of shows on Fridays. So, that whole thing though was like a fucking disaster because it's been booked for a while. I'd say it's been booked for a good 2 months, and I was gonna like the air travel's all fucked up, so he was gonna fly in from Orlando. He did a show in Jersey in like the middle of the week. He did like a H2O show on like a Monday or Tuesday or something, and then couldn't get back to Orlando because of how the fucking travel's been all fucked up. So then he tried to exchange my ticket that I got him and then fly out of New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then
just right here,
there were no flights that he can get on from New Jersey to Cleveland. So he just, thankfully, Manders has recently relocated to New Jersey. So he rode in with Manders.
He just drove in, and, there was like, they weren't arriving and there were until like 3:30 or 4 p.m. and there were already a ton of fans in line. Yeah, he came through real late and he was totally covered up. But I mean, that's funny to say. I swear Joey has done that before, where he just drove in instead of.
He used to drive in all the time.
Wasn't there an instance where he was supposed to fly and he was somewhere farther and he said fuck it and got in a car and drove? I want to say it was for like Absolution last year, not last year, but
no, he missed that. But there was the last gauntlet before this one we just did. We had to postpone doors opening because we were waiting for him to sneak him into the building because there were no back doors in that weird Parma church or whatever that we ran those couple shows.
Yeah.
But so I sent like all the staff out, like he was texting me and he was like, I'm going to be there in 3 minutes. So like I sent all the staff out there and I was like, go out there and like create a diversion and like, you know what I mean? Like draw the attention away from the fans. And then like they went out there and did something, and like Joey just like he had like a mask on and a hoodie on, and he jumped out of the car and just ran into the venue.
When he came in, I would guess if anyone saw him, they probably thought it was Bandito the way he was like covered up. Because that's who I thought. I was like, oh, did Bandito finally? Because I was still waiting for a song. I was like, did he finally get here? And I was like, oh, no,
right,
it's Joseph.
So yeah, that was kind of a hard, like it was a big kind of clusterfuck. But like I knew, like if we can keep him hidden, like it would get a gigantic fucking reaction. I don't think that there was anyone that really thought it was going to be him.
Yeah, I mean, because what would make you assume? You know what I mean? And yeah, it was louder than fuck. I know, like I said, I know you saw the video. Was that? It was. You obviously didn't care that I posted that, huh? You reposted it after I did. I was like, fuck. I wonder if that was like.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, I thought that was like, you know, it wasn't exposing anything. It's after the fact. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, everyone knows they come through the curtain. It's not like I showed it like the run sheet or anything. I don't know. So like, but after the fact, I just get nervous about certain shit because I'm so new. I'm like, wait, fuck, should I have did that?
No, I mean that didn't bother me at all. I thought it was a cool little footage, you know.
Yeah.
And honestly, like if I have like half the time, like I think about doing shit like that, but it's like right when it's happening. Like when Minoru Suzuki was getting ready to go out, I'd be like, I was like, fuck, where's my iPad? It'd be so cool to fucking be videotaping this right now, like him getting ready to go out. And like there's other times when that's happened, and I always just fucking forget. So I like shit like that. That's why, you know, like we've had Adam, you know, who has been working on the documentary for so long, like just shooting around in the locker room. And before that, he would just shoot those backstage candid shots, which I love.
When is he coming out with whatever he's working on? He's been doing that forever. I can't wait to see some of that shit.
So the last thing he wanted was a Britt Baker thing. You know, he reached out to some of the people in WWE. But you know, I don't think they're really allowed to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So the last thing he really wanted was a sit down with Britt, and they did that at the Tadmor Shrine when she came in. And you know, before that, you know, he got one with Gargano. He came in and did like, you know, 3 hours with them in the empty Odeon. Like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
It was before one of the shows, but Gargano came in and did it, and then Britt. So he says he has like so much. He has like a huge like rough cut of like everything, you know, and it's and it's like interesting because it's pre-pandemic, and then it's like there's a bunch of stuff like with like Eddie Kingston and, you know, Mance Warner, Matt Justice, all the stuff. And now there's post-pandemic stuff with like Britt and Johnny and me and, you know, a bunch of other people. So I hope it turns out great. I don't know.
Think of how fun that will be of an event when like that comes out, because I'm sure it'll screen somewhere, and it'll be like going to a wrestling show, but we're gonna go to a movie theater and like watch a movie, but it's gonna be everyone from wrestling. You know what I mean? Like it's just gonna be so funny. I can't wait for that event. Like,
yeah, I'm super pumped.
Yeah,
you know, it's like his passion project.
We'll have to do like a red carpet thing or something with all the wrestling, you know, with all the wrestlers and everybody, and you know, you guys and everybody.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I keep you know, like, because I'm like. Me and like Dom love Entourage, so like there's like a couple famous Entourages like where they go to like these film festivals, you know what I mean? They go to Cannes or they go to whatever the fucking, I can't think of the other one. It's Cannes and it's fucking some other one I can't remember right now, but like the two big film festivals.
Now
it's
on the fucking tip of my tongue now. I can't think of it.
It's like the Cannes Film Festival and the fucking fuck, I don't know. But like I always like message Adam and be like, oh, Sundance.
It's kind of Sundance. So that's where they take Aquaman, isn't it, or something like that? Medellin, or they take Medellin.
Yeah. So I'm always like, Adam, just let me know when we're going to Sundance, man. I'm ready to go.
That's great.
So
they do. I mean, they have shit like that around here. Like, there's a Cleveland Film Festival, and I mean, I'm sure he could get something like that in there. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's got like, you know, he didn't show up with a fucking camcorder. You know what I mean? This dude showed up with a fucking Hollywood production rigs.
Well, that was a couple times I was like, well, wait a minute, that's not like smart. Like, well, they're not filming with that camera. Like, what the fuck is happening? Because some of the first times that I got to do sound was when he was coming around and he was doing some just B-roll shit where he was rolling by like the crowd through that net at the time at Hell on Earth at that one big at the sports complex place. Yeah. There's just a couple things that he was like doing B-roll shit, and I was like, the fuck is this guy do? Like, that's definitely not smart, Mark. Like, what the fuck is happening here? And yeah, it was like crazy ass film, like cameras and shit.
Which, I'm jumping all over the place, but I did confirm over the weekend we are going back to 4 Sports for Hell on Earth on Black Friday this year. Ooh. So, they want more, and maybe we'll try to mix in a couple throughout 2023. But we're definitely going
east, right?
Yeah, East Lake.
Yeah, Mr. Whiskers. Yeah. So okay. Well, so the show overall, you know what I wanted to say too. Back to the Shane Douglas thing about, and him saying about, wearing his street gear. So before they call us, we were waiting to hit the music. I was like looking at the Duke, and I'm like, man, the Duke's all geared up already. I was like, I kind of feel like everybody knows something's gonna happen, because why is Duke wearing his gear? And Shane Douglas like grasped me on the shoulder, like grabbed me and looked at me and like, yeah, and like gave me this look like, exactly. And then he goes, that's why I'm only wearing street clothes right now. I was like, oh shit. He's like, he like gave me this look, and I felt like all like vindicated, like, hell yeah, like Shane Douglas gets it.
Oh man, I had Shane Douglas is like incredible. I got to talk to him so much Friday and then all day Saturday at Toy Hio.
Sure.
Like a fucking just super well spoken, intelligent guy. Like,
very nice. Yeah, very nice guy, man.
Right. And, it just a great time with Shane Douglas. And, just like, we've had Shane Douglas a ton of times. But, when these older guys really kind of, you could tell that they actually have at least a decent time. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. It's, I'm sure they do so many shows that are just like whatever. And
it's like when Tommy Rich was up there, like you could tell he was loving it like that. You can tell when a guy's really like in the fucking zone of it.
Yeah. And he, when he said, when he was at the bar or whatever, and he's like, this is what wrestling used to be like. This is great. Just sitting around drinking, talking about the business. And, Shane sent me something similar on Saturday morning. It said, good morning, John. Thank you for last night. Always an awesome atmosphere at your shows, both backstage and in the audience. I love and miss that from my early career so much. Which, that's just, it's a fucking so cool to get that from the franchise Shane Douglas. You know what I mean? Like we've booked him, probably, 5 to 10 times or whatever it is at this point. But, that's a guy I watched when I was a fucking teenager, you know what I mean? 14 years old, like,
and he's basically telling you he thinks you're doing it the right way in his mind. So like, yeah, right. Like that would be like, you're like vindicated almost.
Right. Yeah, no, it's awesome. So, I was just super pumped really about everything. So it was really just kind of like, other than, the Joey stuff, which was dealt with the day before, like it was a pretty, and the Kevin Sullivan stuff, which, I found out about pretty early on, and, we didn't have too much skin in the game on that, because it was really, working with, the ACW promotion, I wasn't too like stressed out, honestly, you know what I mean? Like I woke up and like I did some regular work, you know what I mean? Did some work emails and shit, and like,
do you take off on show days and then just do a little bit like stuff from home, like you're saying, like emails and whatnot? Or
it depends on what's going on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But Friday I didn't really have too much going on. My boss was off, so it's just kind of like, make sure the place doesn't burn down a little bit. Like check some emails and shit.
It's the day before summer vacation type shit,
Yeah, so I was like, I was just kind of chilling out, and I was just like, well, I went down to the Odeon, like mid-afternoon. Like I was just waiting for some sort of something to go wrong, and like I had to shoot over to the hotel because Bandito was having some trouble checking in, but other than that, it wasn't really that big of a deal. I just went over there, and, he just needed they just needed a card for incidentals. You know what I mean? And like, the student that picked him up obviously, did not have
He's not throwing down his MasterCard for old Bandito.
Didn't have the enough for the hold, you know what I mean, in the accounts. So
yeah,
I shot over there and I took care of that, and then
that is tough when you're not even teenager, whatever, younger 20s, start renting getting like a hotel room, you go somewhere. That was shit I didn't know either. I was like 25 or whatever. You're like, all right, let's go somewhere. You go on vacation. They're like,
they put that hold on there.
$300 of this money. You're like, well, I brought $375 on vacation. What the fuck do I do now?
Right. Yeah. It fucks you, So,
I feel for whatever student that was.
Yeah, so I took care of that. I went and I fucking, grabbed a coffee and, so like got myself together, and I was like, I'll shoot down to the Odeon. And, it was pretty stress-free day, honestly. Nothing too crazy. It was like a good, just everyone was in like a good vibe. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those days where everyone was just kind of lots of like time to just talk to each other before the show, and like not a lot of running around.
Who else? Jack Evans was already in town too, so that wasn't like you were waiting around Friday. You already knew he was in Thursday, and who else? Bandito. So yeah, I mean, almost
Bandito got it. Yeah, like so, because I was looking in like other shows, like St. Louis Anarchy was like posting all these flight cancellations, and all these other shows are having these flight cancellations, and like Jack Evans landed on Thursday night.
Yeah,
so like I knew he was
from. Like Mexico or Canada.
Mexico
Where's he
City.
from? Mexico.
Mexico City, yeah. And then, I was a little worried about Bandito, but he was coming from Chicago. He was like training at Galley for whatever reason on Thursday night. So like he was coming from Chicago, so I wasn't super worried about that because I knew that even if his flight got canceled, there'd be 100 flights from Chicago.
Yeah. 2 different airports you could get at.
Right. And then there's just Filthy Tom landed at like 6:50 in the morning. Fonzie was a surprise. He landed at like 6:50 in the morning.
So let me ask you this. Did you know that Fonzie was on the after party flyer? And people are like, why? Kept asking me, why is Fonzie's here? Why is he on the after party? I'm like, I don't fucking know, man.
I did. It's just another one of those kind of red herring things. You know what I mean? Like I was throwing out these little clues to throw people off the scent of Joey Janela. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't say anything to him, but I wasn't clear with Steve. I didn't want him to say three-way dance or three-way or whatever. I wanted it to be.
Yeah. So
Justice comes out and everyone thinks that's the match, and then give it like a minute, and then Protovision hits, because I know we all discussed that. And
right, I was going to say, because it was discussed between us and a couple people, and then when he said that, dude, Janela like fucking was like, he like grabbed me from behind. He's like, what the fuck did he just say? Why did he fucking say that? What the fuck? Why did he say that? And I was like, me and Riley Rose were sitting there, and I'm like, I don't have an answer for you, Joseph.
Yeah, I think maybe it was just one of those things that was lost in translation. You know what I mean?
Luckily, I feel like it was enough. It could have been enough of almost even another red herring or like weirdo throw it off the thing, because then we hit Fonzie's music and then Justice, which technically is 2 guys. So you could almost even be, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what, if you watch the video that I posted, Joey's like,
make it awkward. Yeah.
Make it awkward. Go real long. And I was like, well, we discussed that already. We knew we were waiting. And he goes, now just make it real weird. Really just hold it and hold it and hold it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, then you tell me when. And he finally said, okay, do it. But
yeah, I made sure
when he said that, Joey, they probably have a bruise on my shoulder from him grabbing me. Like, what the fuck did he just say? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's my fault that we didn't get clear. You know what I mean? I didn't make it clear.
It's probably a lot of different people to tell. I mean, you have so many things to tell and to talk,
And like, fucking, I used to be on a walkie-talkie, and then there's fucking not enough walkie-talkies to go around. You know what I mean? And there's that whole fucking nonsense. So,
you need to get your producer headphones back on again, like fucking when we were what's it called? Producer John in the fucking building. Now that Dom ain't got those fucking headphones.
I know.
On.
I gave up the reins when Dom was fucking
put it back on. Crack that whip.
Now I'm gonna have to get back. I'm gonna have to get back on a fucking headset, I think,
for Absolution at least.
But I made sure to go. because sometimes, I get pulled into a conversation or whatever, and sometimes I miss something or whatever. And I wanted to grab a drink, and I knew like the scramble ended or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm running to that fucking crow's nest and right by Gorilla or whatever,
Mhm.
that. And I was like, I'm running right there, and I want to feel this.
If you're in the crowd listening, if you're looking at the stage where the W is, right above the W, if you ever see people's heads popping over the curtain, there's like a DJ stand for the stage where a side, like where it runs sound sometimes from the side. That's where some of the wrestlers stand. If you ever see somebody's, because from the seats, if you look at it, you just see people's head pop up and you're like, what the fuck are they sitting at? Like, it looks really weird because you can just see the heads and necks of people. It's funny.
Yeah,
But
it's like where filthy Tom stripped or whatever that one time.
Yeah. Yep.
So I made sure to run over there because I wanted to,
It's a great view.
And I just wanted to feel it. And like, it was just like, just one of those things where it was like, fuck yeah, we were able to do it again, like, and the thing is like, we could have advertised Joey Janela, we could have sold fucking 200 more tickets, but I didn't want that. I wanted that fucking, I love like that moment, you know what I mean? I'll sacrifice the fucking tickets or whatever for like that energy that comes from these big surprises, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it makes AIW what it is, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're not always going to get that, but there's that like little sense of like, well, you never know.
Well, right. Like, say if we have, like, just as a blank number here, say you have AIW has 15 shows a year. I would say out of those 15 shows every year, there's like 3 or 4 times where somebody big just shows up out of nowhere, unannounced. A huge moment happens with a guest that if you're not there, you are like, God damn it. And you do that a lot out of spite, like if something's selling low or just for whatever reason.
I do it out of spite.
Known that for shit like that to just have these surprises. Like, I learned that early on as a fan that I feel like you can't miss shows, because if you do, then something crazy is going to happen. And I don't know, like, it just happens like that at AIW. With the one time you miss, that music's going to hit. Like, there was a couple people that were like, do you fucking know how many more tickets you sold if you would have said Britt Baker's going to be there and blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but you know what, man? Like, that's what makes wrestling sweet as fuck. Like, that's that one thing about wrestling that you always have, no matter what, that surprise, that element of like, holy shit, like, thank God we're fucking here for this, or we're watching it live, especially back in the day when shit was, pay-per-view and live and all that.
Right. Like,
there was the GIF and all that and yada, yada.
And that's what I always think back to is like my time as a fan, right? Like, what are the greatest moments, when somebody was jumping from WCW to Raw or vice versa, or, ECW was always good for doing something like on a pay-per-view or something like that, where there'd be a big surprise, or even in modern day, like, look at some of those early AEW pay-per-views, where Mox just shows up out of nowhere, even recently, Bryan Danielson and, Adam Cole, you know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff people remember, like, I could have said, oh, we're going to do this match, and it would have been just a great of a match, but like, people wouldn't, I don't think people would have been losing their shit as much, you know what I mean? Like, because dude, once he comes out, like, people are just like bonkers, like, the whole fucking time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know I've watched my own videos several times. I mean, I love, I watch my own shit all the time, but it was a very loud. It was people there was people loud before, when it's quiet and it's all dark, you hear people yelling, what the fuck's, you hear people waiting, and then his music hits, and his Protovision's a pretty recognizable song. So that first one is like at the beginning, you can audibly hear people in my video go, holy fucking shit, or like, no way.
Yeah.
Like,
then a couple people got it like instantly.
And then especially in the video, the lights, because the lights are all cool at the Odeon.
That's what makes your video, I think, is like, it's all dark, and then like it hits, and then the Odeon lights hit, and you could see him in backstage, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
and
it was a great video. I thought it was really sweet the way, like, just with the lights and shit. And then when he goes through that curtain, you can hear people lose their shit. And by the end of it, before he walks to the stage, the fucking whole place is chanting Joey. Like, it was a big fucking pop. It was fucking sweet.
I was that was obviously the big fucking, like, I knew that was gonna be the thing for the show, you know what I mean? There's a lot of good stuff on the show, but that was like the cherry on top, so to speak.
And I think the way it was too, like, Justice versus Bishop, those two have like fucking murdered each other, and they've had some incredible matches. So he comes out, and you're like, okay, this makes perfect sense. To pick your poison. Like Justice and Bishop have went to war. If anyone could fucking beat Bishop, it's Justice. And then you're waiting, and then a Janela music hits, and you're like, holy shit. And then you just think to back, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like there's been some wars at the rap shows in that building, and it's just a three-way between them is just. I mean, everybody knows Joey's fucking insane. If anyone's as insane as Matt Justice and Josh Bishop, I would put Joey Janela up on that list of shit. I mean, what the one bump he took to the ladder or whatever was fucking disgusting. Or no, the beat, you know, the barrier. Yeah, the guardrail, dude. It was fucking gross.
And you know, I think Joey, you could say a million different things about Joey, but one thing he is like he's very loyal, and we were booking him before he really fucking blew up, you know, when he was just kind of on the ascension. And you know, we did a surprise with him, you know, right after he went off the roof with Zandig or whatever. He was hurt, and we brought him back as a surprise, and he got a huge pop. And like, you know, from that moment on, he's been a made man. But the thing is Joey wanted to do it. You know, he asked, you know, he wanted to come back to AIW. It's one of his, you know, I guess you would maybe consider it his Midwest home or something like that. You know, it's certainly his home in the state of Ohio.
Aside from GCW, I would have to say that that's one of the places, you know, especially before AEW, Joey was at AEW or AIW all the time. I mean, that was,
right.
I mean,
he was like an every show guy for a while there.
Penelope was working with him. I mean, you guys got her. He got her work. I mean, yeah. I mean, the guy, he was on tons of shows.
Yeah. So, you know, it was, I think it was one of those super cool moments. And like I said, you know, he wanted to do it. He wants to do more. You know, he was already saying, you know, like, I want more dates in the fall. You know, because his schedule is obviously pretty booked up solid here through the summer, but he's like, I want to come back in the fall. I want to, you know, I want to keep doing stuff. So, you know, I thought it was just a great moment.
Yeah, he's a fun guy too, or like around and backstage. And I didn't get to hang with him too much at the after party this time, but I have in the past, and he's always fun.
Yeah, he's great, and like he's not like wild and crazy like a lot of people think, but he's like a good like dude to be around and talk and like, you know, like talk the business and talk what's going on, and you know, like just super aware of like everything that's happening in the industry, and like a great guy to kind of just like, you know, have that, you know, as crazy as it sounds, like the almost like intellectual conversation about this, you know. The industry as a whole, and you know, all this, you know, he knows like everything that's going on everywhere about everything.
I mean, you have to think there isn't much that he hasn't seen in the indies in the last how many years, with all the shit GCW is doing and all the big shows he did under his name with the spring break shit, and then going to AEW and seeing all that. Like, he's been around everywhere and seen a lot of shit. He's definitely somebody, you know, I don't know. I listen when he says shit. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, that was great. The rest of the show, I want to, you know, I want to make a point before we even stop talking about the show, but I really wanted to open with Jocelyn and Katie. I thought that was going to be the perfect way to set the precedent for the show, because I think like some people, you know, obviously there are people that were never at a rap show before. There were some people that kind of knew what was going on. You know, like I said, a lot of our hardcore fans were at the Justin Doan wedding and all this other stuff.
I wanted sad that there's no rules, but like you had to really make sure there's a match to put it over that anything fucking goes.
And like, I thought that they were the perfect match to go out there and do that, you know, because it's just always like, you know, like it's going to come off sexist or something like that, but it's always, I think, comes off a little bit more unsettling when like the girls are just going so hard, you know, and like they establish it with like a fucking plastic bag spot, like right off the rip.
So how happy was that? Like that had to be a tribute to Biggins, right? Like
I had no idea. I had
you didn't know?
No, they just did that on their own.
So she comes up to me. Josh goes, so she goes, okay, so because everyone always asks, it's so funny. The run sheet has been the same forever, and like I said, I'm new to this shit, but it's always been whoever's on the sheet, whatever. Like that's how the entrants are. Whoever goes first. So she goes, oh, who's going first? I'm like, oh, it's Katie first in the sheets, and then you'll go. She goes, okay, so I'm not going to come through the curtains. I'm going to come through the crowd. I'm going to put a plastic bag over her head. And I looked back and I was like, word? Like, oh yeah. Like you're going to bag her? Like for real? Like first, right out the gate, like no fucking like Biggins is loving this shit. But I was like, okay. And then she walked away and I'm like thinking to myself, like, that's how you start the rap show with a fucking bag 'em spot. Like
that was all them. I had no input on that, but I thought they went above and beyond expectations there.
And that feud has been boiling too, which I think has been it was a great starter for for what those two have been doing in the last couple of shows, last couple of matches.
Yeah, so I was really happy. I mean, they both took some pretty wild bumps. There was like I think like a power bomb from Jocelyn. Like Katie went through some chairs, and I think. Katie gave it back. Second
rope, I think it was.
And then Katie, I think, gave it back with like a superplex or something. I know a bunch of chairs, and they had kendo sticks and all kinds of stuff. Thought it was great.
What did you think? So speaking of crazy bumps, what did you think of the fucking moonsault off the balcony? Was that discussed with you, or you asked if they could go off the not as high, obviously, as the first time, but holy shit, that was wild, huh?
So like Jack Evans got there like really early, and like he was like eyeing up the balcony, and he said to somebody like I think like he was talking to Derek or somebody. He was like, would you catch me if I jump out of that? And he's like, has anyone ever done anything out of that? And they're like, well, yeah, they did a DVD, and like he has to see the video, and like he watched the video, and he's like, that's the fucking craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I think after he saw that video, he was like, I'm for sure doing it. I'm
shocked that he didn't go and investigate it, because I met I knew Mr. Evans was in town earlier. Him and I were together earlier in the evening, but he said, oh, how's the venue? And I said, oh, it's pretty cool. I said, the last rap show, two guys went off this did a DVD off this balcony. He said, oh, no shit, really? There's a balcony there? I said, yeah, it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. He's like, oh, no shit, okay. And it's just kind of like, okay, like, and we kind of went on about our conversation, but he
showed up looking for the balcony.
Yeah, that was my bad. I'm sorry, Sean.
And I don't think he looked like, I don't think he didn't like, so I thought maybe he was going to go off the railing, right?
Yeah.
And there's all these pipes hanging down. So we put some pipe and drape up there, and the commentators were going to be in there, but we had like a different IWTV crew, so like he moved them over a little bit.
Okay.
So there's pipe and drape right there, and like right before he went out, I was like, Jack, go to that pipe and drape if you're really going to do this, because there's nothing hanging down right there. It's like dead center. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, because I thought he was going to try to go off the railing, and like I put a chair there and all kinds of shit. Like I didn't know what this guy was going to do.
Don't do it.
I was like, I had like Riley Rose hidden up there. I was like, I don't know if this guy's going to need help, like getting up on this. I don't know what he's going to do. Just be available.
Like a hand to get up or something. Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't know what the fuck was going to go on, but that match was fucking crazy too.
Yeah.
Mikey Montgomery, crazy Shelton Benjamin fucking run up fucking thing.
Yeah, that was wild.
Bandito had a fucking crazy dive. I mean, there was all kinds of fucking crazy shit. What was the
spot he did?
He did that fucking German suplex through the chair thing.
Yeah, it was like a reverse where he goes up over him and then goes back German through the other way. Like that was fucking wild. I liked seeing Derek style in there with all the other high flyer guys, and then Derek style mixed in. Like there was a couple spots where they were doing some shit, and he was like, nope, and just picks him up and just fucking German the shit out of him. Like, you're not fucking jumping around, motherfucker. Like, I just like that.
And Derek
but mixed in was really sick.
And Derek was originally off because Ziggy wasn't available, and like I like that presentation of them together. So Derek was off.
Yeah.
And Chase, he did a show the weekend before, and he thought he hurt himself, and he went and saw a doctor, that day, and was like, hey, you should probably take a few weeks off, and it could be this, it could be that,
Yeah, it could
He
make
has
it
to go.
worse, obviously.
He has to go and see like an orthopedic or something, so he was just like, hey, like, if you really want me to do it, I'll do it, but I probably shouldn't do it. I really want to do it. Like, he really wanted to wrestle those guys, and I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna put Derek in there.
How often do you get put in that position, and when you do, does that kind of suck because you have to be like the guy to, you know what I mean, like say no? Like he even said, like, he wants to, because he wants to wrestle Jack Evans and M-Dog for sure. Those are big names he's probably wanted to cross off his list.
I mean, sometimes you know what I mean. Sometimes it's like, yeah, okay, if you feel you can go for it, go for it. But he does have a little bit of a history of some injuries. So it's like, hey, like, let's, it's an easy fix. You know what I mean? No big deal.
Yeah, and certainly M-Dog can come back. That's something you can do again, obviously, probably.
Right.
Chasing M-Dog. Jack Evans might be a little more tough, but,
Yeah, I know that he got hurt at GCW the next day. I hope it's nothing crazy.
See that? From what I read, it said he was okay. That was fucking wild. Yeah, did you see that?
Because I gave Jack Evans a couple more date skis as soon as I saw that before he fucking landed from that fucking balcony. I was like, hey, because he had like an agent with him, and I was like, hey, how about these? What's the story on these dates?
Me and this fucking agent, man, and it's so funny too because his Boston accent. Yeah. He kept trying to like send me the music file, but it just wouldn't work. He was using all these different WeTransfer and all this other shit, and he was getting all frustrated, and then so you hear him getting frustrated in the Boston accent. I'm like trying not to laugh because you don't want somebody to think you're laughing like at them, you know what I mean? But just the situation was just so funny because it was just such stereotypical motherfucking god damn it. And he's saying like the Boston accent. I'm like cracking up, like trying not to laugh.
So I mean, I'm trying to think of like other stuff. Like Broner and Manders was like a fucking war.
Yeah, to come back from what happened at Gauntlet to get that payoff, it was nice. Certainly was a fucking
I don't think people saw the PB turn coming. Out of that, another kind of one of those red herring things that we set up to where I wanted people to think, we're going a while with Manders and Broner, you know what I mean, and then. Yeah, it was a way to kind of create this new story out of really nothing. Casey and Dom, went more in on that. Casey got fucking crazy color, like unreal color.
I saw that from the one side because it's hard to see shit from the monitor. I try to bring a nice big TV, but it's still kind of difficult. But at one point I was like, holy shit! Like, look at his fucking face. Like, that homie is leaking. It was bad.
And, there's obviously more to go with that whole thing. Bulking season becomes number one contenders.
Speaking of bleeding, the picture of Philadelphia holding Artie in that choke with that look on his face was the greatest photo I've ever seen. Like,
great match. Like, shout out to Chuck Stone. He went fucking coast to coast at the end there. Like,
oh yeah,
he told me he wanted to do it, and I'm like, dude, like, I understand you've done it at training, but like, you're about to be in it's like 90 degrees outside. There's going to be people in here. It's going to be hot. It's going to be, that air gets thick when you're fucking wrestling in that building like that. And
yeah.
He fucking pulled it off, man. But great match.
I love Chuck.
Chuck is like, no offense to Arthur MacArthur, but man,
I love Artie Mack.
Chuck Stone is like a next level, like, superstar. Like, he's just so good, like, he's just one of those guys that he could become whatever he wants to in wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, he's just naturally athletic, like a cool dude,
very lovable, nice guy, especially like after party and everything. Just a very humble guy. Oh, thanks, man. Always comes over, tells me thanks and everything, and I'm like, press the button, dude. Right, it's always a trip when people come over and do that at the end, because that's like a wrestling thing, right? With like the handshake and everyone and telling.
Yeah,
I'm like brand new, so people come up to me like I've been there the whole time, and I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, you're welcome. I pressed play. Like,
we had Filthy, Kaplan, Jackson Stone, and Swan Tucker. Another just fucking wild big guy fucking fight each other. Kaplan called out Tim Donst at the end,
which I think is going to be fucking incredible. I think that match is going to be sweet. Kaplan finally getting that win on Tom, and now he's just going to go and I just think that's a great match.
Yeah, obviously, we wanted to go all the way with Kaplan and Tom to Absolution, and Tom got the G1 offer, like a week or two ago, and we had to pivot a little bit, but I mean, that's like a once in a lifetime. Well, hopefully multiple times in a lifetime for Tom, but he could.
Your first time is a once in a lifetime,
right? So I was like, what can I do here? Because now, two of these matches that we were kind of on the fucking whiteboard for the last few months, you know what I mean, are off the table now.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's do a little pivot. And I talked to Donst, and we worked out a deal. He's coming back for the big show, fucking Goldberg style. You know what I mean? Getting that
Timmy Absolution,
getting that Absolution payoff. Coming in. So yeah, I thought the show was good. We were able to kind of build a few things. Obviously more to come, but based on the way the show ended, you can assume where we're going here with Derek and Josh Bishop. That seems to be the next reasonable solution of guys to face off. So, I wasn't sure how I was going to even announce it, but I might as well just announce it. Matt Cardona is going to relinquish the titles at Absolution.
Kind of hinted a little bit earlier. You said he will be there, so I mean that will be his role.
I mean, we were gonna.
I mean, he's out for what, like 8 months or something? I mean, it's a serious surgery, right?
He thinks 3. He thinks 3. He's taking bookings in September. He's taking bookings in September already. I don't know.
See, the thing is, though, you fuck that up again, that's fucking pain, right, dude. Like, you gotta fucking be easy on that shit.
So he is going to relinquish the belts, and I think the best solution is to have, Bishop and Derek were the last 2 in the gauntlet, so they will fight for the vacant titles.
I also feel like if anybody, there's a couple heads in the race of who was, kind of would be that number 1 contender behind Josh or whatever, I mean, and I think Derek has really been coming on very strong in the last year or so of AIW.
He's always very close to winning the big one.
Yeah.
I mean? If you really look back since the pandemic, he's always kind of right there to win the big one.
Right.
So I think it's I think this is the best possible solution that we can come up with, and we're gonna see what happens. I hope, 2 homegrown talents, fighting for the belts in the main event of Absolution. I hope that the people are with that. And,
right, because I was going to say, I feel like there was a lot of people. I think there's 2 sides of the Cardona coin. There's a lot of people who come out. Cardona draws like fucking crazy. He does. There's a lot of people who enjoy him / hate him, whatever. They come and buy a ticket. The other side of that coin is there are some people who don't really like Matt Cardona. They're kind of over it. They're kind of like, whatever, this fucking guy, it is what it is. It's just part of wrestling. There's going to be some people who don't love what you do. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But so here, for these people, for the people that were kind of maybe had enough of Cardona or whatever, like you said, you got 2 homegrown AIW guys are about to go to fucking war in the main event of Absolution. You know what I mean? That's going to be,
and I think,
a fucking war.
I think it was pretty apparent, the story was built over a year, what the outcome was more than likely going to be. But now, you know what I mean? Like, there's a few different directions we can go, right? You don't have to be married to that plan that was built in place, which is what I find most interesting about this, opportunity here to kind of rewrite the story of what was going to happen or where we were going.
Did you plan that pun with the different directions of Derek direction, Derek the director?
I did not.
But, we can go in a couple directions there, right?
That's why you're the substitute teacher, substitute moderator. But I just I'm welcoming the opportunity, I guess, to kind of start over here and, figure out a new plan. I think this was, the best plan. Obviously, we could have did any number of different things, with a four-way or something. But I think, these two are the best option to close the show. I think there's a lot of kind of meat on the bone there as far as where we can go and what we can do with it. So, I mean, that's where we're going,
I love it.
We were, the mind was half made up, but we wanted to kind of close the show and leave it like that just in case. And I just kind of made my decision right here on the podcast. That's the way it's gonna
That's
go.
How we do it in AIW. If it's not at the bar, it's on the podcast.
I mean, I was pretty mind made up on it, but we obviously hadn't totally locked it in, and hey man, we got a month to go. Let's fucking lock it in and let's just go for it and see what happens. So,
hell yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do. Who am I root for? Those are two of my guys, Josh and Derek, both, man. I don't know.
There is, I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen, but we have been approached about doing maybe like an Absolution pre-party / like press conference where we just like drink and like do interviews at a bar, you know what I mean? And like do promotional shit and like, some sort of like all you can drink ticket or something. I mean, I have to iron out the details, but it's possible that could happen between now and Absolution. It's possible it might fall apart, but we were approached by a bar that wanted to do like AIW Absolution press conference event thing, and I said, well, why don't we just make it a party?
Yeah.
And we can get some mics in there and do some shit.
I was gonna say, yeah, you wouldn't have to make it officially press conference per se, but yeah, if you got some mics, so you could get people on either side or whatever of the stage or whatever maybe they have there per se, and kind of do a little, so we could work something that could be pretty fun. You could even maybe work some angles, right before the show starts. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like that's.
So I'm gonna try to iron that out and see if we can make that happen this week. We got questions in the Discord.
Yeah, we got a couple questions. I shot it out there for anyone if they wanted to ask me anything. I know I'm kind of new around here. I don't know if everyone knows who I am. Scott Random thought I was like a totally different person apparently before he saw a picture of me. But Ed Battis asked how excited I was to hit Joey's theme music for the first time. There's a lot of people know I was a pretty big Joey Janela fan, still am. So yeah, that was there's been a lot of pretty sweet music I've got to hit, but Joey was one I didn't know if I'd ever, with TV and GCW, and he's booked at every indie all over the fucking, so I didn't know if he was ever coming back. So that was pretty sweet. Scott Random, Scott Random wanted to know if you would reveal the original plan, like plan A for AIW Gangsta Made Me Do It. Like, was there another way the Pick Your Poison was going to go? But you kind of already said that the Janela thing was locked in for kind of a while. Like that wasn't really a workaround at all.
It was supposed to be Janela versus Bishop in the main event, it was supposed to be Janela versus Bishop in the middle of the card, and then close the show with Cardona versus Justice.
Okay.
So that was
so if he wasn't hurt, Cardona would have wrestled. Okay.
So
then there would have been a Bishop, like he would have picked his poison against.
Right. That would have been Bishop would have picked Justice, and Cardona would have picked Joey. And, the idea is, obviously Justice is Bishop's greatest rival. Right. And then Cardona and Janela went to war and the Hammerstein and all that shit. That would have kind of been the story of, the crossing of the paths.
Gotcha. A-Rose wants to know if I had an entrance theme for AIW, what would it be? Like, I guess that's like how on Raw, like when all the people, like when Jim Ross comes out, they play his song, and like all the other guys,
like if you had your own song, what would you come out to?
Yeah, I guess. Probably like Slayer or some sort of 3-6 Mafia. I'm sure probably some sort of 3-6 Mafia song. Hit a motherfucker, probably. I like to play that on the
my first match in a ring when I was 15. I came out to tear the club up.
Oh, there you go.
3-6 Mafia when I was 15.
I feel pretty confident that any 3-6 Mafia like beginning of their song, it would work for like an entrance where it's like enough of a bit of music and then there's like a break where you can come out through the curtain like the song starts up. Like you can pretty much just pick one and it works. Okay. Question for AIW Wrestling. I'm assuming that's just out to you and whoever, John.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered doing like a special outing for the Patreon folk? A Rose wants to know, like maybe like a celebrity bartending night, like with the roster and stuff.
Well, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards with this maybe Absolution party. It wouldn't be just for Patreon, but like more like a fan gathering. You know, obviously that's always thrown out there for the after parties. You know what I mean? That's always available for everybody to kind of mingle and hang out. Not everyone does it, which before I forget, you know, shout out to Jay Gold, who like went big at the dive bar with the booth, and I think went through 5 or 6 bottles of vodka.
There was a lot of 50-cent vodka drank.
Yeah, effing. And then, you know, also shout out to Scott Random, who, you know, he had his own like booth was like adjacent.
They were going like back. Oh, you got a bottle? I'm getting it. Like they were going back to back on bottles. It was fucking tight.
It was like a bottle battle. You know, like Jay Gold had effing, and Scott Random had Haku flavored like vodka, which I never heard of before, but he only got it because it was named Haku. And it was funny. It was like they were like going back and forth, and it's like, you know, I know some people don't like the dive bar, but like it was like pretty much just us in there, you know, for a lot of it. And it was just like, it's so funny to see, like, I guess the walks of life that are pro wrestlers and pro wrestling adjacent people just in mixing. This club, just mixing in this club. And then you have like, you know, these two fans who are like just going crazy with the bottle service, and like the regular people are just like looking on with just disgust and like curiosity is like, who the fuck are these people? And then we're also in there
wearing basketball jerseys too
and backwards hats, and we're also in there with Nathan Zagura of the Browns, who's like being treated like a legit celebrity.
I loved it. That's my guy, dude. Love it. Shouts to Nathan Zagura for sure. Love that dude.
It was just like, it's such a weird scene. That's why and you know, like we said last week, Dive Bar, like they lowered all these prices for us and made all these specials and shit, you know? So, I mean, I think it's just funny. It's funny to be in that atmosphere with like all of, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I know like I don't know if you ever even went before, but I know you were in there and it was pretty like, I think it's like, people have a preconceived notion of what it's like, but when it's just all the AIW people in there, it's, you know what I mean? You make it what you want to make it.
So I think the problem was one of the very first ones we ever did there was like in the heat of just coming out of pandemic so a lot of people were going out downtown clubbing shit. It was like the end of the summer, like it was right in a time where Dive Bar, like it was just very crowded with just regular downtown people. It was very hard to get a drink. Just the very first time, like I said, I've been known to say I'm not a big fan of that place, but I had a fucking blast this time because everywhere essentially is kind of what you make of it, and this time it was so much easier to make it just an AIW party because there was just so many of us, you know, and everyone was just having a great time.
Right. I mean, it's you know, if we always, whenever they want to do it, go in there and take it over. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who, if you have any qualms about like, I don't know if I want to go there, like I liked it. It wasn't like cramped. Like it's a bigger room. There's room for everybody. There's tables. There's places to stand. The fucking AC was kicking. The music didn't suck really. You know, like it was fine. Like I had a good time. And if everyone goes, if it's just the same people that are at the Odeon, we just crowded over there, it's gonna be fun. You know, like you said, everything is kind of what you make of it. So
right. I mean, you know, I'm sure like, you know, even in like the good company parties, like it was just like a restaurant, you know what I mean? And then we take it over and then the restaurant people left. You know what I mean?
That was just so much easier to take over because there wasn't as loud a music and just other patrons. Good company was easy to just kind of take over. But
well, I mean, because we kind of forced the patrons out, you know?
Yes, which is almost seemingly what's happening at Dive Bar now. But that, you know what, that is kind of a sick idea. What about like for like a weekend like J-Lit where we do a Friday and a Saturday night? What about a Thursday night you announced, you only put out on the Patreon, hey, we're going to go to this bar and be doing like karaoke and like, yeah, maybe we talk to them, letting some of the wrestlers get behind the bar to do drinks and stuff like that, like serve drinks. Like that would be pretty sick for like a Thursday night of a J-Lit weekend. Obviously,
Yeah,
I don't know if we can do it this year because it's so close, or maybe even still, but that would be kind of cool because just people come in from out of town from J-Lit. You know what I mean? Some people get here on Thursday. You know, that'd be kind of cool.
And we are still working on a hotel partner for J-Lit. We have a few people working on that, trying to lock something in for everybody to go.
Well, if it's anywhere near my neck of the woods, I got a bar or two. I could try and put something together. We can at least get like, I bet they'd at least let me bring my PA and stuff to do karaoke or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Filthy Tom loves doing. No, he won't be there for J-Lit, will he? He loves karaoke.
He's figuring out when he gets back from the G1. But
yeah,
even like Steve Guy works at the Flatiron. You know what I mean? There's places even around downtown and shit. That we can maybe figure something out. But yeah, I mean, I'd be down for doing something like that. What else?
Okay, A-Rose also wants to know if you were on the show Family Feud and you had to pick from the AIW roster for like your teammates. Let's go run them down. Like pick top number 1 draft pick down to 5.
I would go Duke probably number 1 because he's just super knowledgeable about everything.
A lot of stuff, yeah. Number 1 draft pick to Duke. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Then
respectable pick.
I would go Wadsworth after that because he is also like super knowledgeable of many things.
Yeah, trivia type, just knowing things. You're like, yep.
Then I'd probably go Dom.
Okay, the Bone Collector, another guy who me and Tom, I think everybody knows, he's pretty good friends.
He's got a pretty good base of knowledge of all sorts of shit.
He's like a good guy to bounce shit off too. Like me and him do the card shit a lot, and he's like helps me with the card. He's a very good guy to like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Like, what do you think about it? Like, especially you said like he does a lot of the like cards, like starts the card for you to get the brain working. Like he's a good guy. He's a very good idea guy to bounce shit off of. Yeah,
I'm trying to think. Definitely not Arthur MacArthur. He's
Rip City Farms is Mike Trombetta asked. His question was, has Artie McCarty stopped bleeding yet?
I don't know. I was trying to hang out with him on Saturday and Sunday, and to no avail.
Artie answered as of today at 12:23. No, he has not. So as of today at 12:23, he has not stopped bleeding.
I think I would go Filthy Tom also on my
4th pick. Filthy Tom. Who are you closing it out with?
Throw a little.
Or does that count? You only get to pick 4 because you're also on the team. Is that how it works? Or is there 6 of them? I think there's 6.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who can the anchor be.
Pedro?
Oh, Pedro, that's a good call.
Yeah,
Pedro anchoring it out. So mainly, office type people.
I was going to say,
Duke and the Duke, Dom, and Filthy Tom as the roster.
There we go. Okay. All right. Let's see. One last one from A-Rose. He says, if a newer wrestling student asked you for like 3 or 4 wrestlers to study, who would you tell them to watch? Whom would you tell them to watch?
It's kind of a trick question because it would really depend on a lot of different things.
Yeah, right. It's kind of more so what your body type is, your style, your athletic style, like what you're able to do.
Right. Like you have to see
wrestling
what they
has all types,
Right. You have to see what they can do and then what their body type is and how they move. And then you kind of say, hey, watch this person or watch that person. You know what I mean?
A little hard to do blind, right?
Yeah, it's really hard to do blind. I tell everybody to watch Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko 2 out of 3 falls from the ECW, and then we go from there.
Start there. That's where you start.
Yeah. Then we figure it out from there.
Okay. All right. One last one from Scott Random. He wants to know, since Broner has faced 3 members of SGC already in 2022, are there any other plans to face the other half? So that would mean what? He's got Manders so far. He faced who else did he have?
I don't know who else he wrestled
in SGC. Oh, Kingston. but he didn't wrestle
Kingston's like
Justice
not really in there. Yeah, so I
anymore. But I mean, when he was the one who came up with the name. I thought.
I guess he means Justice and Mance. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's anything is possible. I mean, I don't really have a lot of like long term. Like, oh, we got to get to this match. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's more just, I don't know, what happens. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of go with the flow sort of booking.
Because that's kind of a guy that's came out of nowhere too. Like I've been a big fan of him since I first saw him. But Broner is like a guy that's came out of nowhere really in AIW. That's just kind of been like just rising very fast. Like.
Yeah,
it's almost like how do you have a plan? It's been so new and so fast that it's like how do you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, the plan was we were going to put him on Winchester shows. You know what I mean? That was the plan, and he just connected. He's he's a supernova. He's just like so. Then he's on regular shows. And then it's a work in progress.
Right.
I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, that does it for the Patreon Discord questions. Anything else before we wrap it up? You wanna hard sell? What do we got coming up next? Winchester, I believe.
Let's pack up that Winchester. You know what I mean? Like 150 tickets. I think we made available. Let's sell those. Shark Boys in the house.
I was gonna say it's another show where a Winchester show where it's like you never know who could be there. Whatever could what could happen. Crazy right. Shit goes on at those Thursday night shows.
Yeah, you never know. And if you want to go to Absolution, I suggest you buy a ticket because that is like selling like crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean with the Gargano meet and greet thing, people are not. And Akron is they're a big meet and greet town. Like they pack it when there's someone they want to see. That place they pack it. So yeah, I wouldn't sleep on getting your tickets for Absolution. But that Thursday night show, like I said, man, those are a good fucking time. I have a lot of fun at those Thursday night shows, man.
Yeah, they're different. They're like a different vibe. I really like them. Yeah, I mean the Gargano thing though, like, I mean I would have to look officially, but like. We probably sold, not even an exaggeration, 250 tickets the day that was announced.
Wow.
Like, it's
people
crazy.
Love Johnny wrestling, dude, and he hasn't been around in how long? I mean, right. And you teased it. Well, like when we were talking about the guy who's doing the documentary, and Johnny was in the building before an AIW show, and people almost thought, oh my God, could he be here? Could he be? And like, it was like floating around, and then he didn't. He wasn't there.
He was there. He was there that day, though.
Well, he was there, but I'm just saying on the show per se. So people, I mean, that has been people been waiting for him to come back to AIW in any type of.
Right. So, I mean, I think we got Ultramantis Black coming back.
Oh, you know what I mean? Wait. That announcement, because that means, we got At Odds coming. We got Joe Sposto in the building, man. Like, that is Ultramantis Black and Joe Sposto on the same show. Like, that is going to be such a fucking fun afternoon.
Maybe Ultramantis Black is Joe Sposto.
I know a lot of people who think that Joe Sposto could be a lot of different people. Words, freaking.
I think he's Ultramantis Black. I think Joe's always wearing long sleeves,
I think covers up those Christmas tattoos.
Yeah.
As I say, last time I saw Ultramantis Black wrestle was in a hardcore Christmas match against Nick Gage.
And then we announced the return to class with Tommy Rich and Little Guido.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, we have to do some sort of beer drinking competition. But listen, okay, everyone that's listening to the podcast right now, you're in on it. Nobody tell Guido or Tommy Rich that they're competing, but it will be a competition who can drink the most beers. If you want to help, you want to play this game along, you buy Guido or you buy Tommy Rich a beer, whoever you want to win. Buy those guys a beer, just go hand it to them. So here you go, gentlemen. Somebody will be keeping count of all the beer. We will assign a student to each one. They're just going to follow them around and just keep a clicker. Don't let them know they're competing because then, you know what I mean? I want to know it. Just wouldn't that be great if we really did that?
Oh, it would be like no joke. It would probably be 50 each.
We got to assign a student to each one and just literally buy them one of those little clickers that they give like the carnival workers. And you just nonchalantly stand around. We'll tell them each that they're like, if they need a beer, you tell that guy, go get your beer for you. We'll just, hey, it's Wrestle Rager. Have a good time. You each get your own beer getter. and they'll keep a clicker, and we'll just keep fucking,
And we're limiting that show to 300 tickets.
Oh, so you better buy those. That shit goes fast. Wrestle Rager goes fast, and we're back at class. So there's a whole group of people
that only go to there.
They only buy tickets to that show. So you're talking that could be another, even being generous, 30 to 35 people who just go to that show. So those tickets are washed out of the 30. You got to figure. You better get your tickets because these summer shows are going to sell.
I hope so. That's the plan. But I guess that'll do it this week.
All right. Well, I don't know if I'll see you next week, but if not, same time next week, huh?
All right. Thanks.
See ya.